Yo guys, Coach Theo here on Common Sense. My hair is wild, and today is the 1000th video of this YouTube channel. Celebration. Yes, it's sunny. We're gonna talk more about that later. It's the third day of the modified 1 week fast. Right now, I'm celebrating by heading to pick up my cousin and introduce her to cold plunging in the lake here. It's probably around 2 to 3 degrees today, so it's a nice intro to that, but I just wanted my intro. Let's go. Yo guys, we're back from our cold plunge, and I think I'm gonna upload that video separately because I was coaching Diana on how to best approach the cold and tackle it. You know, it was her first time. It was 2 degrees in the water, but she did great. It went really well. So now I think I'm gonna just let that footage roll, and maybe if I get up to something else, I'm gonna have more client calls, and I'm gonna train someone in person, so we'll see. But now I'll go on to talk about, well, the fact that this is video number 1000 on the Uncommon Sense channel, but I'm also right in the midst of this modified 1 week fast. So I'm going to start off updating you a little bit about that, and I'm going to tie this in quite nicely to the other things I want to talk about related to the 1000 videos, because, you know, guys, what I realize is that you don't even realize how much I know about these things with the body, with the fasting, nutrition, and training, like the holistically, everything, the whole math, the equation, you know. It's like, you know, when I program for myself, it's with such detail. Like this entire week, there's a little bit of flexibility and like being open to some things changing a bit, depending on, like, you know, how things go when you're there, what the day ends up looking like. But as a whole, I know like exactly how I'll spend every day, and the little changes I do, what I do with this 1 week modified fast that you can be reminded of if you go back to the previous videos. And it's, you know, I eat quite low calories. I just try to get my protein in basically. But how I do that, why I on some days have eaten twice and I will switch to eating just once now, that's because I do. You see, this is my problem, guys. I'm such a nerd with it that I want to explain everything. But when I start explaining, I just realize there's so many little details to everything I do, you know. So the reason why I like to, because I'm going to eat the same amount of foods, but the reason I like to spread it out a bit more on these first days was because I trained harder. And the total amount of protein on a day is always what's going to matter most. And some intermittent fasting, comparing like eating 3 times per day in an 8-hour eating window compared to eating maybe 5 or 6 times, there's no really difference for muscle growth and recovery. But there is a difference when you compare like eating once to maybe 2 or 3 times, because there's this, apart from just the body getting the protein it needs, there's a spike in protein synthesis, and it has to pass at least like 3 hours between the last protein synthesis from eating to get a new one. So you see, that's just one little detail, you know. And then why I pick the foods I do, and why I do a certain type of cardio, and for instance, why I decided, even though I told you in the video yesterday I'm gonna go do 2 hours more cardio, from what I could just tell with my body, that no, it's just not a good idea. I feel when I have almost borderline blisters on my feet, I can feel how my joints are tired. I might just, if I do more now, because I had the spirits to do it, you know, if I do more now, I might ruin doing more later on the fast, you know. And lo and behold, I woke up feeling quite like, oh, okay, my wrists, I feel like they got a beating yesterday. But yeah, it was good. I skipped that. So what I did was like I went on a couple of short walks instead, and I took an extra long sauna session that kind of mimics low intensity cardio. I mean, it's not gonna burn that much more calories, but it's good for the heart and that, and other benefits. It's a thing that's great on a fast, you know. But you see, I could go on and talk about the little details and adjustments I do to my fast, but the point is, I've like acquired so much knowledge about all of this. That's really not just knowledge about fasting, about training, about diet. It's knowledge about how I respond to it. It's knowledge of the self, which I always say it's the real, only true knowledge really can have many very informed beliefs and act as if we know some things for certain that we haven't completely experienced for ourselves. But it's really the only thing you truly know and are just not like very confident in this idea you have. What you truly know is what you've experienced yourself, what you've been able to see through your own process and observing of your human experience, because no one can argue with that. If someone tells me, for instance, you lose muscle fasting, well, I fasted so much, I've never seen it, I do not care what anyone else says. I know this for a fact. That someone can shove a study in my face, and I'm like, well, something is wrong with that. I don't even have to figure out what, because I know so well myself, right? So yeah, I just wanted to make that point, guys, that it's almost, when I talk about, what I talk about in my videos is what I think is like, you know, what people can grasp and what matters for them on their level, you know. And with some clients that come to me that are already on kind of a high level with their self-development, then it's just like they're almost getting me connected, instead of me just constructing the entire routine with these little details and auto regulations that I talk about. I give them the good structure, and through talking to them, they will come up with that themselves. But, you know, for so many people I work with, it's on, you know, no offense, but the life change you gotta do is like on a way lower level. You know, you gotta build a foundation of even going to the gym and knowing what you're doing, even eating decent food, even having tried fasting, and so on, you know. So yeah, guys, it's like, I guess I just want you to know, like, it's overwhelming in a sense that I have so much I like to share. I could have, especially right now in this fasted state, because even eating a little bit with all the movement I've done, and I'm still under eating so much, it feels very, very similar to just being completely fasted. And today I haven't eaten yet. I took a short sauna post our cold plunge there. Diana had to go work, and now I'm here. But this is an interesting thing I'll tell you about the fasted state, that I'm very focused. You can see that I'm very present and energetic, but it's like the body is so efficient. It's like you're super in the moment, you know. So when I'm on a line and I'm talking, I am super focused. I know exactly where I'm going. If I get a little quick thought about something else, I can just completely forget where I was going. Of course, some people will recognize that kind of trait, like even someone being high or something, you know. But trust, it is like a different thing on the fast. There was something I wanted to say there, but basically, guys, so every little detail of this week, exactly what I eat, when, split into, you know, when, how many times, exactly how do I approach my workouts on different days, my physical exercise, and why, you know, it's all thought through on the detailed level, right? And so I wanted to move on to the 1,000 subs topic. That, of course, to me, that number doesn't really say so much. It's a little different with certain milestones for actual people that follow you, like 10,000 subscribers, you know. 1,000 was my first milestone, and 10,000, 100,000 next, right? Because, you know, 1,000 videos, there's going to be some videos that are like 3 minutes long, there are going to be some that are over an hour, you know. So the number of videos, to me, I mean, I guess it shows a certain consistency, you know, but it's not big, like, oh, I did 1,000 videos now. But I wanted to, since we're here, I had been thinking about this, that maybe I should do a video about it, but someone reminded me, and now I'm right in the midst of this fast. So, you know, I want to tie it in together, that how nerdy I am with all of that I told you about, with the fasting, the training, the diet, and that. I'm that nerdy with exactly everything that goes into being Theo, okay? Uncommon sense, we're gonna, like, not water it down, I was gonna say, but, like, get to the core of what is it about. It's a way of thinking. That's something I've noticed, that a lot of people are interested not in just what I think, but how I think. I've gotten many comments that are like, the way you think, you know. But even more so than just how I think, it's how I am. It's a way of being. I always talk about it, become the man that has the body, for instance, you know. So everything that goes into being Theo, I am as nerdy and think of and program and work with just as much as everything that seems a bit more concrete on the paper, like going to train, following a certain diet and macros, and doing a certain fast and such. But I've really been thinking about, because I keep getting that feedback, and of course I know some things very well, that I know well that people need to hear and I can make videos about, but it's like, because I've always, since the start here, that's why I'm saying it's a way of being. I've always, since the start, tried to give you on this channel what you need to go yourself and do the things. It's one thing to get inspiration and help and that, but I've never wanted to be the guy that just says, do these things. I'm not going to elaborate to why, it doesn't matter if you understand it. I'm just the one that tells you what to do. No, I'm the one that teaches you to do those things for yourself, you know. Now again, I get this thing that some little other thought kind of interrupted. Well, yeah, I think this is what I'm saying, that I'd like to even more so, because I can certain mindset tools here and there for certain specific situations, you know, you can give someone, but you want to install that way of thinking as a whole. And so when I started, because it's also recently I've gotten this feedback quite a bit, so I started, well, what is it that makes me like so good at this way of thinking, right? And so one thing I can see is that I have, through experiences I've had, but also direct like meditation work and doing the silent prayer of Jesse Lee Peterson that I recommend many times. It doesn't have to be that one. That's just a great exercise, it's just 15 minutes. But then based kind of on what you do in that exercise, I've done many similar things, and it's all just a practice of being present with yourself and observing your inner world, so that you don't go around identifying with everything you feel and think all the time. That if you feel stressed, it's like the reality that everything is coming tumbling down. No, that's just the way you feel, you know, that's just an experience you're having. You're the one just looking at that. So it's one thing that I've done so many things like this, where even a cold plunging that I just did, but being in the sauna by myself, training, going on walks, actually meditating, you know, I've done so many things where all I'm doing is, well, I might take some action and have certain thoughts if it's training about technique and that, but so much I'm just observing Theo doing what he's doing, you know. And when I say that, observing Theo, it's like to some people it's gonna seem like woo-woo and crazy, but you know, the self here is a sort of illusion anyway, you know, like that there is a Theo, that's just a construct really. I can go in so many cool things I think about. I am of the opinion that we do, on one hand, not have free will, but on the other hand, we do, because the flesh here, just the vessel here, you're completely a slave to all impulses you have, even when it feels like it wants to do something. And I thought of that, and that was my choice. You're really just the one observing and experiencing that. But I think the more distance you can get to this, you can actually, from that central consciousness, influence more. That's really what we talk about when you learn to respond instead of reacting, you know, some kind of triggering moment happening, even instantly, something happening now, or just building up through stress. You fall away from self-awareness because you're gonna go into all these mechanisms and autopiloting, right? But developing this habit of not immediately going straight into, oh, I'm feeling now, this is all that's going on, that's all that's real, but always, so if someone does something that, like, my gut impulse is like, fuck that, it's like, stop that, what are you doing, you know? But if I know beforehand, I'm a bit overwhelmed now, I have a bit of a shorter fuse, and I feel that initial impulse, we can go, yeah, I'm sensitive right now, is what I'm saying to myself on the inside, right? And then I can choose to do something differently, right? So I think that's one thing that more often than not, I'm in a state of not just completely I don't identify with Theo. He's just my guy. He's just my ride, you know. I say the word I just because it's practical, but the way Theo thinks of things is really that Theo is doing this now. Theo's recording this video, you know, he's in quite a nice flow state from this fast. He can just go on and on. He notices that it's a very nice feeling. He's very present in the moment. But you see, that's how I really think. I look at Theo doing things, right? And so it's, of course, it's not just that, because you can have like self-awareness and being able to look at yourself from the outside like that, but you can also be like unable to control it. And that's something I should say, I'm not always in this state. Like you'll see, just some months ago I noticed that's why I took some more rest. I realized it immediately when I rested more, how just more, now I'm grounded. It's like nothing can get to me, no negative comment online, no person in life, whatever. So I just handle everything great because I'm not overwhelmed. I've given myself the space I needed to recover well and function my best, right? But so I can, point being that either if something is acutely, extremely stressful somehow, or it accumulates, you work hard, you train hard, you grind, and you never get peace and quiet, or you never take that for yourself. That's what I notice. When I run out of resources like that, you fall out of self-awareness, you fall out of consciousness a bit. But what I can usually see that this is going on, but that's what I mean. I might, at those times, I might not be able to fully just step outside and be like, yeah, Theo is triggered now, Theo is sensitive now, Theo is looking at everything through a negative lens right now or something. I might know that at those times, but still not be quite able, or at least not like as immediately as right now, if I even got some kind of negative impulse, I would just see it immediately and it would just blow by me. You know, it would have to be something insanely dramatic in a fasted state like this. That's an amazing thing about the fast, guys. It brings you back. You're like forced to be in the present moment, you know. Like, as human beings, we're supposed to have this ability to go into our head and think about the past and the future. You know, learn from the past, what happened there, what should I do next time, and plan for the future. But so many times we're really supposed to be in the here and now, in this flow state that I'm in now. And what's going on right now is all that's going on. I'm not distracted by anything else going on around me, right? But with especially this sort of modern world, where just that with the fact that we're less physical, because when you're physical, you kind of have to end up in that kind of state that what's going on right now, that's just what's going on, you know. When you can be not very physical, you can be stressed about things, but you can always like sit down and look at screens. It's like all this space to just fucking be in your head and think, and that's when we lose this, that when we find ourselves so often living unconsciously, you know. On the one hand, I think the current times, that we are so overexposed to these things, it makes some fall further away from consciousness because they get so deep into everything that's just distracting them all the time, right? All their programming they're running. But also, that's why some like me hit rock bottom, have panic attacks, and like forced to wake up to who you truly are and how things really are. And that's of course what I noticed. Uncommon sense. It was for me the initial awakening. A client referred to it today as like enlightenment. That's kind of what it is. It's just that I wouldn't claim to always be in some kind of enlightened state. You know, you could call my current state a certain state of enlightenment, that I am just free from any worldly worries right now. But that's a point. You know, I know from experience now that that's not going to be a permanent state. But the way I see it, a sort of spiritual awakening and becoming a conscious human being, there's that initial awakening when you just see everything clearly for the first time since you came into this world, basically. But then you're going to gradually fall back into different kinds of sleep, and you've got to maintain it, and you're going to wake up and raise your consciousness, you know. But that's what happened to me initially with that entire panic attack thing. If you somehow have missed that story, you know, way back when I was bipolar opposite, had piss poor habits, you know, I drink and I party and I eat like crap, I neglect myself completely when it comes to sleep and exercise, you know, all this. I hit rock bottom and start having these daily panic attacks, and I had to face that, was forced to change. I was forced to change. When I did this work for myself, and coming back home between panic attacks, I feel this extreme gratitude towards myself, and just I don't have to deal with this more today. I noticed that I've never noticed that presence and feeling inside, because my true self, my consciousness, had been so suppressed by my big, huge, wounded ego that I built up through all these years of, well, a very tough childhood trauma, growing up with my autistic brother, and having a very poor relationship with my family, and then all other traumas you get from life, from that, right? It was the first time I woke up to like, so many aspects that I thought were me, just these difficult experiences I've had. I think that's part of my personality or something. I realized it's not. That's just something I've been carrying. It's been in the way of the real me all the time. Those are just my wounds. That's just my programming, right? So that was my initial waking up like that, right? But ever since, I've had that awareness that, you know, all my thoughts and feelings, like, that's not truly who I am. I'm just the one that experiences that. And then what I call, you know, I made a video about the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. The way I see the Trinity is that you cannot run away from the fact that you have your vessel, you know. Even if I reach some kind of complete detachment from myself, I'm going to have to work through Theo. He's my vehicle, and there are certain things. It's like, you know, a good driver or whatever. They'd be good at driving maybe any car, but when they get into some old shitty car, they're going to be driving differently than if they get into this super fast car. And it's not even an analogy, but it's if it's shitty or fast. They are just different, right? But yeah, because I'm really, what I'm trying to do now is get to the bottom in this video. With my 1,000 videos I've done, like, what is it I have done here more concretely, you know? It's like I know it very well, but some aspects are harder to put into the words and transfer to you guys. But I've been introspecting myself, and I've had to wake up to many things that I thought, ego stories I still tell myself, or fears I notice that I have, like through introspection and never identifying with the things and observing patterns about myself and outcomes I get in life, I become more conscious to the things that I'm not conscious about, right? Why do I keep ending up in this situation? Why do I keep feeling this way? Why did I do this that I now don't feel good from, that I knew beforehand that I won't feel good from, and so on, you know. You observe, you dig deeper, and through understanding, it becomes so much easier to change, right? But so it's like there are many other things I could talk about, but I think that's the main thing I wanted to get to here. It's a way of being, guys. Like, we can talk about the training and how that's a great tool, you know, because how you do something is how you do anything, right? So the way you work on yourself in the gym and improve, that's why I say the physical, the external result of the physique is just a manifestation of the person you become, because in order to do the things necessary to get a certain physique, you have to become that person that does those things, right? And again, I lose myself a little. I have some footnotes. Oh, a little scared by the mailman there. But you see, I got that impulse, but then I know immediately I was just a mailman. Let's go back. That's of course not a big one, but I'm trying to tell you how I'm in this very present state now, even more so thanks to the fast, you know. But yeah, I'm really just trying to get to the bottom of like the thing that becomes before everything else. We need to talk about some things when we're going to work on. So how do I train? How do I program? What foods should I eat and how much? And you know, which approach to cutting fat would be best for me, and so on, you know. But it all comes second to being that person that's looking to improve, that's looking at themselves and being like, how can I better align with the outcomes, the person I want to be in this life, you know. I saw great, it's so funny, you know, that's how you know that we're all tapped into the same infinite intelligence, because I keep seeing things that I've never maybe even, I might have said them out loud, but point is that I didn't get it from anywhere. And then I see the same thing somewhere else, I think. I saw this comparison between the loop and what was it was compared to? The loop and it wasn't the word, the shift, but something like that, you know. That the point is that as human beings, we're stuck in loops. And it's like, why do I keep doing this? It's like, because even however miserable, the nervous system is always going to choose something that's familiar, that it thinks keep you safe, compared to something that's new, you know, even feels good, and that if it's like afraid of it, you know. So beyond like a certain stage when we're developed as kids, of course kids are the neuroplasticity, they're more like a clean slate, you know. But at some point as an adult, you're gonna have some very like loops that are just set in stone. That's why certain things are so hard to change, you know. But it's about going through the same loops, looking at yourself, observing yourself all the time with as little judgment and identifying with, oh, I messed up or whatever as possible. Just learning and improving and going through the same loop, but doing these gradual improvements, right? And that's what I talk to clients a lot about. Like I saw this picture that illustrated this, but I talk to clients a lot about that, how see the program. This is if it's someone that really struggles, right? Because there are different types of clients. People that are kind of doers already, that just kind of need the knowledge and level up, the kind of shortcut through someone like me, right? But some people, they come to me because it's not just about that I have quite high level knowledge. It's like I have this knowledge about how to work with someone that isn't all there, where it isn't just about, oh, you didn't know what training program, you didn't know what, it's like, no, you're just failing to do those things, right? For that kind of person especially, I talk about how we have this loop with a certain amount of workouts, certain meal times, we're gonna eat a certain amount of foods, you know, might be cold shower, might be waking up at a certain time, and so on, you know. But you're not expected, we're not perfect. When you're trying to change and improve, you're not expected to be perfect at all times. So you go through the same loop and gradually improve. That's what I've done over all these years, guys. Like I've built better loops that work better for me according to my the way Theo functions, right? I work with Theo, and gradually by observing, knowing a direction we want to, me and Theo, you know, we want to go in, I come up with something towards that. sometimes, you know, certain things are easier than others to change more fast, but sometimes you notice that this one thing was difficult for me. I keep coming up short or whatever. You go through the same loop over and over again and change and reconsider, and you build upon this, right? So you see, as I want to come back to in the end here, how we do anything is how we do everything. You see the consistency I have with my training and diet, and that, especially you that follow me on Instagram will see that right now it's a little special because I'm doing this fast, but you'll see daily training clips always. You know, there are certain things I always do, and there are certain things that I don't even think about at this point, like my daily cold shower. You know, like there's a thing I've done it for years at this point. Consistent, just doing the thing that stacks up to something. Of course, the cold shower, it's more, it stacks up to is more and more discipline, making it easier and easier to do, but that will carry over to other things, because how you do something is how you do everything, right? It all, you are the central thing in all of this. Now again, a little faster, like where was I going with all this? Yeah, the 1,000 videos. You see that even, you know, I knew certain outcomes I want. I knew when I accomplished this change, and I have always, before, like even with all my trauma, I knew I had this special way of thinking and ideas and approaching things. I'd always wanted to do a YouTube channel, but I was too held back by my fears and other patterns that we don't have to go too deep in this video. I've talked about it before. It's a fear of abandonment and rejection and being seen. You know, put yourself out there and people don't like it and that. But I knew now I have something amazing to bring, and I want to, of course, for my personal success, like even making money, but I want more subscribers, I want everything more for me, but it's also necessary to be able to help more. The more subscribers you have on a YouTube channel, the more people see your videos, the more people you can help with your helpful video, right? But the point is, something like that, you cannot control the outcome as much. That's why the physical is such a great place to start, you know, with changing yourself and your habits and that, because it's just you have to wrestle with. Like, you live somewhere where the gym, it keeps being closed every hour, that you have no idea why, you know, but you see, it's really, if there's a gym you can go to, if you can buy food, you know, it's just about you doing the right things with this. But with certain things, this process might be similar, but the rate of progress might be completely different. Like building muscle and losing weight, it can be somewhat linear if you really nail it. But a thing like uploading YouTube videos, you just don't know if you're going to be lucky or hit the algorithm or something. But you see that it's the same process. I've never taken more than a week without posting a single video since I started. It's over 5 years ago now. And I guess I want to show you that too, that way of being, that just ruthlessly taking responsibility for everything in your life. And like, this is an outcome I'm looking for. How can I align myself with that outcome? And just be prepared that you don't get to decide how it looks like, when it will happen and that, and just be like, I'm gonna do whatever it takes. Just have to find the point we can end on. Radical responsibility is what this is about, guys. Like taking responsibility. It doesn't matter, you know, when you're in a victim mentality, yeah, but I was unlucky with this, and if this didn't happen, it's like all of that might be true, that it was unfair, it wasn't your fault, and that it's you and your life though, so you gotta take responsibility for it now. It's like the most unfair, evil, hurtful thing that happened to you, yeah, that sucks, you know, and I completely feel you on that. What do we do about it now, though? What are you gonna do about this, so that this doesn't control and constrict you from living the life you want? What can we do to better, you know, to have the life experience we have? Because you don't want to have the experience when you just sit and blame. You feel like shit and blame things for that, you know. You want the life where you felt like shit because of things that happened to you, but you choose to overcome it. You choose to do the difficult work, even though it felt unfair, that I shouldn't have to do this, but you just realize that's the reality I've been dealt. I cannot do anything else. So I guess that's another thing, this radical self-honesty, you know, that I will struggle at right now again in this fasted state. It's like, I have no ego almost at all right now. It's just a personality, little quirks, you know, but it's like, I could take on anything I do bad or something right now, you know. But even me, I'm gonna have ego. I'm gonna be blind and denial about things. But you have to keep coming back to the stories I'm telling, hearing really in my head. You know, how true are they? That you see, guys, I can keep going because I just so many things come up. But I think about that often. You should strive for aligning that inner monologue as much as possible with actual reality. You know, the ego often thinks that if I just am denial, if I just tell a story so that I come out of top when I've really hurt myself, done really poorly, if I can just tell a story where I seem like the winner, then I'm good, you know, then it's all good. But it's not, you know, if there's a fire, managing to pretend that there's no fire doesn't make the fire go away, you know. So that's what we always want to come back to, question ourselves. And it's always this balance with being self-conscious and overly critical and that, and managing to just take distance, do this that I said, take responsibility, observe yourself, just be like, hey Theo, are you lying to yourself now, or is that really, what is going on here, Theo? Just out of curiosity, just purely because we want to do everything, we want to take responsibility for everything and do absolutely everything we can to align ourselves with the life experience that we want. So yeah, guys, I could go on, but I think I got what I wanted to talk about in this kind of video. 1,000 videos, well guys, I would love it, you know, because that's sometimes the thing with someone like me. I feel like what I do is so holistic and big. Like, you understand, I could spend like this same amount of time I've done this video, I could spend on one little small mindset thing that I consider like a percent of everything I think of. So, you know, I would be so interested to hear you. It's for someone like me, what's really my skill, that's what I bring a lot to my coaching clients, especially on my elite program when we're closer in touch and talk more often. It's just me being involved in the process, giving my commentary and my advice and my input and being like a catalyst for their way of thinking. It's not always, of course there's going to be some things I tell you, like do this, change this with the training, or change this with your habits or whatever. But so much is also just, you know, inserting myself into their mind, kind of, you know. So that's why I mean that's why it's so great to get good questions and things you guys want to hear from me, because then I can just like, oh, I'll talk about this just the way I would talk about it, you know. Reverse engineering a little bit like that, you know. Or I guess reverse engineering was I should do. But yeah, guys, whatever more you want from me, whether that might be more technical training stuff, I'm gonna always do that stuff, do little professor videos, a lecture on a muscle, stuff like that. But even anything you thought of thinking about this video, you know, I get a little, not upset, but frustrated sometimes that it's like, I know very well what I do and what I'm about, but sometimes I'm kind of like, what do the guys want? You know, when some videos just get a fewer views suddenly, you're like, what? Because I'm not just trying to please you or pander to you, but I want to bring you things that I'm about, but clearly sometimes there's more views and sometimes less, and I'm not always sure, you know, it's not always clear. So I would love to get your input, guys, but now, so I can just make myself shut up before I think of something else I want to talk about, you know, like and comment, like I just asked you. I do this holistic bodybuilding coaching, getting jacked and stacked mentally, physically, spiritually. You know, guys, I can go on and tell you exactly how it works, but it's like, if you have a sense, an uncommon sense, if you will, that this guy could help me, I can with really whatever it is, because it's, again, it's not always that I have to be so directly involved. There's, you know, for instance, people might struggle with something they want to do, and the actual thing they want to do, I might not know as much about, but I can see what their fears, what is holding them back, and what kinds of changes need to happen in them, you know. So that's really the thing with my elite program, especially. It's kind of like, if you have a sense that I can help you, whether it's just about the physical but something else, I just can, you know, that's how it works. So if you're interested, send me a DM on Instagram or email me, it's in the description below. Pick up my training book, it is more focused on the physical side of things, but I do bring all the observer, having this distance to yourself and that while you're going through the process, all that philosophy and mindset stuff is in there too. How to combine it with fasting also. Man, I'm gonna have to edit this video, because I guess I wanted to tell you that my body weight was kind of changed on the scale today, 87.5 or whatever it was yesterday too. I of course don't really believe that. It's a thing, now I've taken a shit for the first time during this fast. I have not eaten so much, right? But until then, you know, it's just more content in my gut, because I'm still eating a little bit, right? That piles up and it's going to hold a bit more water. So, you know, never trust the single number on a day on the scale like that. But I guess I just wanted to throw that in. But please subscribe for more content about fitness, fasting, losing weight, building muscle, self-improvement, stoicism, mental health, philosophy, spirituality, mindset. It is a mindset, guys, and it's really just an uncommon sense mindset. Peace.